Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's good to have you on this channel again, and I'm grateful for the commitment that you have shown to this channel. In case you are new, I want to welcome you. This is a channel that you'll find content on personal development, leadership, and life management. My name is Kpamor James Suleh. In the last 2 weeks, I published content that sought to encourage you to engage in a mentorship relationship with someone you have admired that has already developed his leadership potentials, so that you will gain and benefit from the proceeds that accrue to one who engages in that relationship. And after publishing those content, I sat down and began to think about them, and it dawned on me that those contents will be more beneficial to someone who has already identified himself as one who would be an effective leader should he develop his leadership potential. And so I began to ask myself, what about those who have not even identified themselves that they could actually develop themselves and be very effective leaders? They probably wouldn't see any need engaging in this mentor-mentee relationship. And so today I have come to give content that will first and foremost will be very beneficial for those who have not seen themselves, those who can develop themselves and become very effective leaders. And then secondly, for those who may have already been leaders, we may need maybe materials or information that will be helpful to them to convince others that they either hope to engage in a mentor-mentee relationship with them, or maybe convince them to develop their leadership potentials. And so essentially, today I'm giving you content on how you would know that you too can be an effective leader. How you too can know that you will be an effective leader. I know you may be tempted to take this for granted. You may ask yourself, how will I be endowed with leadership potentials and yet not know that I can grow to be an effective leader? Now, many times it is such little blind eyes that we turn to such clues or such little information that makes us find very difficult fulfilling our destinies or our purposes in life. And so as little as this information may be, I can tell you that it may mean a matter of becoming an accomplished person. It may mean the difference between an accomplished person and someone who may not be accomplished in life. Now I want to bring two scenarios to show you what ignorance can do. And if you are ignorant about your leadership potentials, the consequences of that will be very, very great. And I want to use two scenarios to give an example of what ignorance can do. Now, there is a story that I came across. The story is actually recorded in the book of Matthew chapter 13 and verse 44, of someone who found a treasure. The treasure was hid on the land. Actually, it's a story of Jesus that gave about the parable of the kingdom. And he said someone found a treasure that was hidden in a land. When he found that treasure, he went and sold all that he had and came and bought that treasure. Now, because he bought that treasure, I want you to know that it therefore means that that land belonged to somebody. The person who owned that land never knew that there was a treasure in that land. And so he was potentially a wealthy person had he discovered that there was a treasure, a priceless treasure that was in his land, but he never knew. And so someone else who had knowledge of that treasure went, sold his property, came back and bought this land. And I can tell you that in a matter of a little time, he will become wealthy at the detriment of the person who initially owned that land. And there was a time that I read a book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and a similar story was narrated in that book of someone who had an idea that there was gold on his piece of land, and so he started mining to access this gold. And after much effort, he got reluctant because he couldn't trace the gold mine. And so he got discouraged, thinking that after all, gold deposits were not on that piece of land after all. Only for him to sell this piece of land to somebody else, and that person brought in machinery and some other scientific ways and was able to discover this gold, and in a very short time began to mine this gold and sell and benefit from the proceeds of the gold mines. Had the first owner of that piece of land known that there was actually gold on that piece of land, I believe strongly that he wouldn't have sold that piece of land. He would have perhaps maybe even gotten a loan or done whatever thing he could have done so that he will effectively mine that gold. So the difference between the wealth of the person who bought that land and the person from whom that piece of land was bought was just that one was ignorant while the other had knowledge that there was gold on that piece of land. There is also a saying in the book of Psalms. It's actually in Psalms chapter 49 and verse 25. Verse 20. Psalms chapter 49 and verse 20. And it says that a man who is in honor but does not know is like a beast that perisheth. A man who is in honor but is not aware of it is like a beast that perish. And you may ask, how can one be in honor and yet be ignorant of it? It's very possible. It's very, very possible. Someone who will be in honor, access to honor, or maybe wealthy, he has all the potentials to turn every idea he has to wealth, and yet because of ignorance he will be poor and probably even die poor or die in dishonor. And so I want you to know that ignorance is something that can keep you bound, can keep you from accessing what originally you have inside of you and developing that to become what you will be, an influence in your generation. So what I seek to do is to give you just one point that will be an indication that you too can become an effective leader. Now the question is, how would you know that you too can become an effective leader? Especially when you have not identified any sign around you that you too can become an effective leader. And maybe you have been made to believe that someone who can be an effective leader must own a degree certificate, or maybe an educational certificate, or maybe someone who must be an effective leader must have attended this leadership institute or this business school or such things like that. And because you have never attained such height, you feel that you cannot become an effective leader. Now I want to give you one sign, one indication that has nothing to do with certificates, that will let you know that you too can become a very effective leader if you develop your leadership potential. There's a story in the book of John, and it's John chapter 21 verse 1 to 3. Now the indication that will let you know that you too can become an effective leader, irrespective of maybe the experiences you have had that may speak contrary to that. I will derive it from the book of John, John chapter 21, and from verse 1 to 3. Now that's a brief story of how Jesus appeared to his disciples when he had been crucified and resurrected. And actually, his disciples, Simon Peter, Nathanael, Thomas, and the sons of Zebedee, that's James and John, were together and were lamenting the experience of doing ministry without Jesus. And things were very, very difficult for them. Very, very difficult for them. And Simon Peter, as a result of the difficulty they experienced, told the rest that he wants to go back to fishing. Now, this was a personal decision. In fact, if you read that scripture, he said that I will go back to fishing, meaning he took a personal decision that was independent of the other disciples. And soon after that, the rest disciples, the other disciples, the 4 of them, also told him that they will go with him. Simon took a personal decision, and yet the 4 also decided. Probably, maybe they had thought about going back to fishing, but they were not bold enough to do it until Simon took that personal decision of his. Now, how you would know that you too can become an effective leader in life is when your personal decisions unintendedly influences the decisions of people around you. When you are somebody who your personal decisions unintendedly influences the decisions of those who are around you, then I can tell you that you are in for a good business with leadership. Meaning you can grow up to become a very, very influential and effective leader if only you can develop your leadership potential. Unfortunately, because many people do not know of this indication or this pointer to the fact that they can become very effective leaders in life, many times such persons are not mindful of the fact that people are either watching them or following after their footsteps. And so they take any decisions not minding the influence that it will have on people. You hear people saying that I don't care what somebody thinks about me. I don't care. This is my life. I can do whatever thing I want. I can say whatever thing I want. I can go wherever I want to. It is my life and I dictate how I live it. Not knowing that they are likely to be people who are influencing people around them. When you know that your personal decision unintendedly influences the decisions of people around you, then I want you to know that you are one who can grow up to be a very, very effective leader. And so you need to be careful the decisions that you take. You need to be careful the things you say. You need to be careful the places you go to, because you are one who has already enrolled in a leadership institute. And so look around you, check your decisions, watch the people around you. If you have seen that on 1, 2, 3 or several occasions, decisions that you took, personal decisions that you took for your life, influenced people that were around you, even when you never intended that to be, then you can watch yourself and develop yourself to become an effective leader. When you have seen that your decisions unintendedly have influenced the people that are around you on several occasions, then it means you have already enrolled in a leadership institute. And so you need to develop yourself, and you will need to now go back to the content that I had published 2 weeks ago and learn what you can benefit from the mentor-mentee relationship, and also look for someone who will mentor you so that you can develop your leadership potentials. I urge you to watch your life, watch your decisions, and see if on a repeated basis your personal decisions have influenced people around you, so that you can engage in leadership development to become an effective leader in life. Thank you very much. I hope that this content would have given you an indication on whether you would become an effective leader in life, or whether you have been wasting your opportunities, so that you can begin to maximize your opportunities to become an effective leader. You can check my content, my channel. You will find other content that will be very beneficial to you also. And I urge you to subscribe if you have not subscribed. Also hit the notification button so that each time I publish a content, you will be notified. Thank you very much. My name is Kpamor James Suleh, and I hope to see you next week. God bless you.